I'm Peter Koutsouridis, Professor of Percussion and Music Theory at Westfield State University. I'm the principal timpanist with the Waterbury Symphony Orchestra, and I play drums in the faculty jazz group here at Westfield State. In this video, I'll walk you through some tips that will help you prepare for the upcoming district band and orchestra audition on timpani. This solo is from page 21 in the book Musical Studies for the Intermediate Timpanist by Garwood Whaley. You may be aware of other resources from Dr. Whaley, who has published a lot of great educational material for percussion. He's also a member of the Percussive Arts Society Hall of Fame. This solo features dynamic contrast and important techniques such as muffling, cross-sticking, shifting, forte piano rolls, and double stops. And as you would expect, sticking choices are very important here as well. The solo is written for 3 timpani tuned to F, C, and F. Make sure the drums are tuned accurately. I think it is best to get used to using an A440 tuning fork for tuning, but a pitch pipe can be used if necessary. Use the largest 3 drums for these pitches, rather than the smaller 3. The larger timpani will give a fuller sound. The composer gives a tempo range from quarter note equals 96 to 108. In this case, I like the faster quarter note at 108. It still has a relaxed feel. It doesn't seem hurried at all. Well, let's begin by looking at the phrasing of the opening theme in the first measure. This idea happens 3 times in the etude, so it's particularly important. Beginning the phrase with 2 right-hand strokes works nicely. It is a right-hand lead sticking. I like to divide this measure into 3 motivic fragments that lead to each beat. This helps me to play the phrase more musically and to articulate the 16th notes clearly. Don't overdo it. Just think of it in 3 parts without sacrificing the flow of the entire measure. I'll play the measure twice. The marcato notes in the second measure should be short but not choked. They should be marked and separated, but still with a full and beautiful tone. With sticking on timpani, it's usually best to avoid quick double strokes if possible. In the third measure, I would begin with 2 right hands to avoid double strokes on the quicker 16th note passages. Also, I'm using a shifting technique with a right hand lead sticking. Shifting, as opposed to cross sticking, is best in this spot. The triplets at the beginning of line 3 are a good place to use double strokes. We don't always avoid them. I like to play right, left, left, right, left, left here. Now I'll play measures 3 and 4 together. The challenge with soft passages on timpani is for the rhythms to be clear and articulate. For the piano passage, beginning in the 3rd line, keep the mallets close to the head and be sure to use a staccato stroke. Don't forget the accents in the 2nd measure of the 3rd line. Let's take a look at lines 6 and 7. I think this is a great place to use cross-sticking. Make sure you get a nice lift on the stroke. Always play on the correct beating spot and avoid a swiping motion. Strive for a direct up and down stroke. Also, when crossing the right hand over the left, be careful to make sure the left hand is loud enough. Try repeating the crossed 8th notes as an exercise. Then try repeating the 16th note figure as an exercise. Finally, you can repeat the first measure over and over. Then as 16ths. And finally repeat the measure. For the quick muffling in these lines, it might be best to muffle the bottom 2 drums first, since they are the last notes struck. Then you can catch the top drum when there is more time. the fourth line from the bottom, pick up to the second measure, I use a left, right, right, left, right, right sticking. In the third bar, there is a sudden dynamic change from fortissimo to piano. I think it's most effective to muffle the low F while playing the last two loud notes with my right hand. For the muffling in the last measure of the piece, I think it works well to muffle the C as soon as you play the final high F. Then, both hands will be free to muffle the octave Fs at the same time on beat 4. This makes for a nice, clean ending to the piece. Be careful not to rush during the rests in the offbeat passages in lines 7 and 8. The 16th note passage, beginning at the end of line 9, should be led with the left hand. There are a couple of forte piano rolls in this piece. A good forte piano roll can be played by striking the note and letting it fade, and then sneaking in for the crescendo. This one is from 4 measures from the end. The last thing I want to say about this piece is you should always strive for a full, beautiful tone on the timpani. This is true even for fast passages. Play in the best beating spot and get a good lift on your stroke, as if you were playing a single note or a slow passage. Well, let's talk about sight reading. I tell my students that the best way to get better at sight reading is to spend time doing it. Try to do a little bit every day, using any music you can get your hands on. I think it's important to find music that is not too easy or too difficult. If it's too difficult, you may not be able to play the music with continuity, which can be discouraging. On the other hand, you will want your sight reading material to be sufficiently challenging. When you prepare to sight read on timpani, make sure you check out all the important information in the printed music before you try to play it. Look for tricky rhythms and sticking challenges. See if there are any tuning changes or muffling issues. Find the dynamic markings, repeat signs, first and second endings, and anything else on the page. Once you've identified these things, find the hardest looking spot. Think about how fast you can play it, and start at that tempo. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful, and that you enjoy the process of preparing for your audition. Work hard and have fun. And we look forward to seeing you at Westfield State. Take care.